everybody. So I just wanted to weigh in quickly about this entire fiasco regarding Jonathan Majors and his guilty verdict. It has obviously sparked a lot of conversation, and I think this post I saw on Shade Room perfectly reflects a lot of the tensions that are going on today regarding this entire situation. So it reads, it is clear that the jury did not believe Grace Jabari's story of what happened in the SUV because they found that Mr. Majors did not intentionally cause any injuries to her. We are grateful for that. We are disappointed, however, that despite not believing Mr. Jabari, the jury nevertheless found that Mr. Majors was somehow reckless while she was attacking him. Mr. Majors is grateful to God, his family, his friends, and his fans for their love and support during these harrowing 8 months. Mr. Majors still has faith in the process and looks forward to fully clearing his name. So there you have it. The jury didn't really buy her testimony about him being violent towards her or him intentionally harming her. They did not believe that that was true. However, they did think that he was guilty of being too aggressive when he was protecting himself against her attacks. I mean, that to me is literally insane. But either way, I think there are a couple of lessons that we can glean from this rather tragic situation. So first is the importance of choosing wisely. Women are incredibly important, especially to their husband, and they have the ability to build up a family, a community, and to empower a man to live out his full God-given purpose. But also, women have the propensity and the ability to be toxic and to tear a man down and to ultimately undermine his success and his legacy. And I think this case is a clear example of a man who unfortunately got caught up in a really toxic situation, and it is costing him his reputation and his career. Let this be a reminder, folks. Who you choose is so important, especially when you're in a season of your life where you are fully coming into your purpose, coming into the things that you have been working for, and really on the rise. That is when it is incredibly important to be wise about who you choose. Secondly, is the criminal justice system is not always just. We know that it is incredibly biased when it comes to domestic violence disputes, and that usually the woman is perceived to be innocent and the man is usually perceived to be guilty. That's a general state of events. Now we know this isn't always the case. We look at the case with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and that was like a victory for a lot of people. But we clearly see in this example that this is not the case. I mean, down to the fact that you have literal video evidence as well as a testimony of Grace Jabari admitting to being violent, and examples of her having been violent and having all the way down to the fact that she was chasing him, right, and trying to take his things. These are things that she admitted to, yet and still, somehow she is innocent, although we have literal evidence showing us that she was the aggressor. So we can clearly see that there are still biases towards men, that many of the times women are perceived to be innocent. And I think this is just a glaring example. And then thirdly, obviously, there are biases towards Black men in particular. We cannot forget about the history of the criminal justice system and the different motifs that have been in existence for a very long time in this culture, right? The motifs of the hyper feminine white woman and her tears and the power that had historically to literally put Black men behind bars, many of them innocent, and in some instances get these men killed, right? This is the history that has gone on in the criminal justice system and just culturally. When it comes to this interracial tension between white women and Black men who get in some form of a dispute or altercation or whatever. And again, sometimes sometimes a dispute wasn't even needed. Sometimes it was just literally a Black man was being targeted for whatever reason. So we can't forget that history exists, right? And then also the motifs of the hyper masculine Black man who is out there just trying to take advantage of this beautiful, delicate, feminine woman who needs protection. These motifs have been going on for a long time, guys. So I think whether or not the jury was even fully aware of it, it definitely seems like there was some implicit bias there, all the way down to the fact that the police officers who initially took the report were literally trying to coach her into saying things that would put him into jail, although he was the one that called the police because he was concerned. So and then again, down to the point to where now you're in the actual court and you see literal video evidence of her being aggressive, followed by different followed by her admitting to her being violent and aggressive, yet and still he is found guilty for protecting himself. And so again, like, I mean, I know some guys want to say, no, this is just a gender thing. No, this is just a gender thing. She's just a modern woman, yada, yada, yada. And I think that's true, but we can't forget history. We can't forget about those motifs and act like some of those different cultural themes haven't in some way, shape, or form impacted the perspective of the jurors or impacted the perspective of the criminal justice system, because all we have to do is look at history and see that it has been in existence for some time. So I think that's definitely the case here. We have biases towards men, we have biases particularly towards Black men, and then again, when there's this racial tension that I think just can further aggravate the tensions that already existed. And then, fourth, I think it really goes down to, we can't be surprised. I mentioned, if you understand history, if you understand how these things have worked, if you understand cultural tensions, if you understand the gender tensions, this would not really be surprising. It would just be another reinforcement of, okay, like, I get to move wisely. Ultimately, the importance of choosing wisely when it comes to a partner and when it comes to ultimately a wife or somebody you want to settle down with is, the stakes are so high. And that is even more so when you are a man that is on the rise, or when you are a man that's coming into your purpose. Some of the best advice I got when I was single was from a married couple who told me, look, just have God arrange your marriage. Pray and have God arrange your marriage. And I think that was some of the best advice that I got, because I truly believe it's not even really worth trying to engage in a relationship or any form of marriage unless God is in the center of it. Because at least if you have a faith in God and you have higher principles and a higher purpose that you're looking at, then even if the person maybe gets on your nerves, or maybe you guys aren't getting along or whatever, you're reminded, like, okay, I'm not just in this for myself. I have a reverence for Most High. I made a covenant with Him, and ultimately, our marriage, our union has a higher purpose than just my own immediate satisfaction. So I think it gives you the ability to look at these things from a different perspective. And then also, as a wife, as a God-fearing woman, right, your goal now is to help empower and to build up that household, to build up that relationship, right? You understand that actually, by me empowering this man, by me actually working with this man, now I'm actually going to be putting myself in a better position. So you just look at things from a different perspective. But if it's just about he's cute, I'm cute, or he's an actor or whatever, and it's just about passions and maybe you guys kind of get connected, but there's not higher principles and God isn't involved, it just really becomes a mess. And it can literally cost you your reputation. It's not even worth it. The stakes are too high in this culture. There's just too many toxic examples, and it's not even worth getting in a relationship with somebody unless God has clearly shown you, this is somebody that's supposed to be in my life. And so, I mean, I think it really goes down to that. And then also, obviously interracial relationships, whoever you decide to get in a relationship with, there's always going to be risks involved, whether it's somebody of your own race or whether you decide to date and marry interracially. But obviously, given today's current cultural climate, in the history of this nation that we can't really get abroad, if you're a Black man, especially a successful Black man who decides to date and marry out, you just have to know that there are going to be costs associated with that if, God forbid, you get into some form of a domestic dispute. Because again, if we compare the power of white woman tears to Black masculinity, there really is no comparison in the criminal justice system. You know how that goes. So anyways, just don't be surprised and choose wisely. But guys, that's what I got. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. So thank you so much for listening if you've got this far, and we'll talk later, okay? Bye.